Hello everyone. Welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you're new here, this channel slows the headlines down and gives you the whole picture, calmly, clearly, and in a format that sounds clean on text-to-speech. Today's story centers on three names you know well from the Kensa Sekleri universe and beyond: Yağmur Yüksel, Barış Baktaş, and Gülüm Baktaş. Over the last few days, a single claim has ricocheted through social feeds, that Yağmur Yüksel asked Gülüm Baktaş to leave Barış Baktaş's house. What exactly does that mean? Where did this begin? And how do we talk about it without turning people's private lives into our public playground? That's what we'll unpack, step by step, with care. If you value long-form, responsible coverage, please like this video, subscribe, and consider clicking join to help us keep doing deep dives like this. Now, let's begin. First, the origin of the rumor. It did not arrive via a press conference or an official statement. It arrived the way many modern stories do, as a fragment from someone who was there, passed to someone who knows, then amplified by accounts that thrive on speed over context. The claim at the center is simple and charged, that in a private setting connected to Barış Baktaş, Yağmur Yüksel expressed, firmly, that Gülüm Baktaş should leave the house. There are versions that stage it as a confrontation in a foyer, others that soften it into a polite but unambiguous request. None of those versions are on the record. All of them agree on one point: a boundary was asserted. Before we try to decode the moment, it helps to remember who these people are to each other, at least from the public's vantage point. Barış Baktaş has become one of television's most recognizable faces, known for performances that privilege restraint over spectacle. Yağmur Yüksel, his co-star, is a study in listening, an actor who makes partners better by giving them space to land the hard beats. Gülüm Baktaş has been known to audiences as a steady presence off-screen, the kind of figure who does not chase cameras and, for that very reason, often becomes the unintended target of speculation. When you put three such temperaments in proximity, a rumor doesn't need much oxygen to catch fire. So, what are the plausible readings of the alleged request? Let's walk through them without turning possibility into certainty. The first reading is territorial, a line drawn around space. This place is not neutral, please leave. If that's the case, the request might have been less about people and more about logistics. Homes, especially for public figures, carry layers, family memories, legal ties, reputational risk. Who is welcome, and when becomes more than etiquette, it becomes risk management. A polite but firm "not here, not now" can be a way of preventing a small discomfort from becoming a bigger problem. A second reading is protective, a line drawn around time. If work was underway, scripts on the table, a meeting in progress, or a schedule to keep, the presence of anyone not essential to that moment might have felt like interference. In that reading, Yağmur Yüksel's words act like a production assistant's call: clear the set, let the work breathe, we'll talk later. A third reading is emotional, a line drawn around relationships. This is the one most people leap to, but it's also the one we should handle with the most caution. Because an emotional interpretation demands information we don't have: who felt what, for how long, and with what agreements in place. Absent those facts, the responsible stance is to acknowledge the possibility without narrating it into existence. What we do know is the internet's response pattern, because we've seen it many times. Immediately after the rumor surfaced, fan spaces divided into predictable arcs. One arc celebrated Yağmur as a boundary setter, a woman refusing to let a delicate moment become chaotic. Another arc defended Gülüm, arguing that no one deserves to be publicly reduced to a rumor's villain simply for being present where life placed them. A third arc tried to triangulate Barış's position: was he surprised, uncomfortable, complicit, grateful? The truth is, we don't know. We only know that silence from the principals is, in situations like this, both the hardest and wisest move. Let's briefly consider the workplace dimension, because these three names orbit a set, and sets are ecosystems. Healthy productions survive on clear lanes. Actors need protected space to prepare. Personal matters, if they must be addressed, are handled away from marks and cameras. In that context, What reads as a dramatic confrontation in gossip columns can be reframed as an attempt to preserve a professional container. You may not agree with the tone used, none of us heard it, but protecting the space where people work is not, by definition, a scandal. There is also a dignity dimension. Gülüm Baktaş did not sign up for a publicity tour. When the story casts her in a reactive role, it is tempting to project 1,000 motives onto a single moment: defiance, heartbreak, composure, anger. But a more humane reading is available. Sometimes, when a boundary is asserted, fairly or not, the most dignified choice is to step out, address the situation later, and refuse to stage a private negotiation for an audience. That choice, if it was made, deserves the same respect we ask for the person who asserted the boundary in the first place. Now, about Barış. Public figures are often asked to be referees in stories they did not choose to officiate. If he facilitated the de-escalation, by scheduling a later conversation, by asking for privacy, by ensuring everyone left safely, that is leadership. If he simply stood still and let the adults in the room make adult choices, that too can be leadership. Not every moment benefits from a grand gesture, some moments are best served by a calm center and a closed door. How should fans metabolize this? Start by resisting the urge to escalate language. Words like showdown, ban, and expulsion make for clickable captions and terrible comprehension. Replace them with boundary, timing, and context. Next, scrutinize sources. If the account breaking the story also posts edited out-of-context clips for engagement, that is not a newsroom, it is a funnel for your attention. Finally, remember the power of not tagging. You can discuss an event without summoning the people living through it into your thread. Why cover a story like this at all if facts are scarce? Because the way we talk about it teaches us how to hold future stories with more care. Entertainment media will always carry rumor, what we can choose is our posture. A posture that respects complexity will keep fandoms livable, sets functional, and people, real people, less bruised by the weeks when life refuses to stay off camera. Here is the clean, repeatable summary for listeners who prefer the short version at the end. A rumor claims Yağmur asked Gülüm Baktaş to leave Barış Baktaş's house. No on-the-record statements confirm the details. Several readings exist: a boundary around space, a protection of work time, or an emotional line, none provable today. The internet reacted in predictable arcs, but the most responsible stance remains patience, kindness, and a focus on verified information. Until anyone involved chooses to speak, the adult response is to let private adults handle a private moment privately. If this measured approach is your style, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, turn on notifications, and consider joining as a member so we can keep investing in long-form, respectful storytelling. In the comments, tell us how you think boundaries should be drawn when personal lives and workspaces overlap. We read everything, and we moderate for kindness. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.